Tom Fury's here news. I'm sure you've heard about as much about Starmer and elections and things like that as you can handle. So all I will say is, if you're a regular watcher, if you're not a regular watcher, there's certain things we've been talking about on this channel happening or not happening in a specific kind of order, which is the way things are happening with Starmer at the moment. In terms of, I said that they would hold him up like a bullet shield um, before the May elections and just after, and then let him take all the punishment, and then throw him to one side and go for leadership, because of the fact that nobody would want to do that before the May elections because they'd have to take the responsibility for it. However, all we also said was we will find out how much of a dictator Starmer is by how much he digs his heels in. And so everybody's coming up with their opinions now. But as you know, we've been sort of, and not just us, other people as well, have been talking about the fact that they felt that politically precedent has been set before, that no prime minister's been through what he's gone through and made it out the other side. And we are seeing him do a Jeremy Corbyn. We're seeing him try the dictator move, but not over his party, over being PM and party. So, but the media piling on pressure is a really interesting sign that that he doesn't have full control here, and that other people do. That's a very interesting sign, because the media have been absolutely terrified of him up until now. These are the signs to look for, because while he's still kingmaker, because you are as PM, then these people in the media, a lot of them are looking for political jobs. This has been confirmed so many times. So there's a lot at stake if they go at the prime minister at the wrong time, especially with the new laws that he's put in. So you would look at these signs and others as signs that he's definitely going, right? That he's definitely going. And people talk about scorched earth, which I was very concerned of. But if a schedule is written out for him to leave, if that happened, then that would, although on paper he would have power, I think that would effectively neuter him. If they got to the point of a schedule for him to leave, I think that would neuter him. He would be a puppet bloody prime minister. It'd be a dead man walking. So if they got to that stage, the problem you've got on Labour's side is that they're so fucking disorganised. They literally failed to organise a decent coup. But ultimately, Starmer, if he's like any other politician, will say, I'm not going, I'm not going, I'm not going, I'm not going, until the day he says, I have to go. Because they all do the same thing. So you can't listen to anything that he's saying, anybody's saying at the moment, with any actual 100% accuracy. What we'll say is every other prime minister in his position has sooner or later had to give it up. So if he doesn't, you will get a measure of his socialist values, should we call them. The good thing is that he's hated by both left and right. And he's made a joke of himself and a muppet. And on top of that, he's also alienated half his country, well, more than half his country, and told them he hates them. And then when he did try and take responsibility, came up with a plan that included more immigration. I don't know if everybody took notice, but more immigration, and literally went against everything that we wanted. So it's absolutely not backing down in terms of policy. So it's shit or bust for them. Why is this important? Because it still leads to Labour government. One, it could trigger a general election if Labour continue to be as disorganised as they are. But it's just occurred to me, that literally, whilst the markets are plunging and our debt has surpassed the 3 trillion point or something, and literally the markets and everything are reacting to what's going on at the moment. Everything's become unstable. And he's talking about if he leaves, he'll make the country unstable. And it's already completely fractured, not only due to his policies, but due to what's happening right now. Some people would say we have nothing to celebrate if Starmer goes. they might be right. In fact, there could even be things to mourn. One I said, but I think people need a bit more Starmer, to be honest. I think they really need to I'm not going to use the word hate on here, but they really need to feel at least hatred of the ballot box. All of them, all of them. But we know that whoever they put in place is going to have the same agenda, and etc., right? So, is there anything to celebrate if they can prize him off of that seat, off of his throne? The answer is I don't know, but don't write it off that there's nothing to celebrate, because any little inch that we gain is something. And so, what I'm hoping is that you look at the Labour's lineup. Starmer was not incompetent. He was actually did everything, or nearly everything so far, that he wanted to do, which is unlike most prime ministers. He actually has done most of what he's wanted to do. So that's not incompetence. That's an evil man with a plan. From the outside, it seems like many of his MPs are, not all of them, but many of them are quite incompetent. I think some of you would agree. Having some incompetence in charge at the moment could be a disaster, but it could also be a good thing, because anybody that is dumb enough to flip-flop with public opinion and do what politicians normally do, somebody who's not as driven as Starmer to get, to get to ruination, or someone who's just not as capable, that slows down the process. Maybe not by much, but any slowdown gives us more time. Anything that just puts a spanner in the works of the agenda, if you want to call it that slows it down even a microsecond, is helping us. Getting a really incompetent Labour MP as Prime Minister, which is not impossible, would be a touch of luck right now. Because what we've had is someone who appears incompetent, but actually has executed his plan almost exactly as he wanted to, which is scary coming from a man who seems as weak as him. But it's why we need someone more, I think, incompetent, because it's Labour, rather than someone who is capable of applying this agenda at this speed. Now, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you see it differently. Tell me what you think. But this is just where I stand with it. Whilst I found a lot of this very funny, and I haven't been able to laugh very much, but I found a lot of this very funny with Starmer. Just, yeah. Funny, but also infuriating when he stands there and says, I'm hearing it from you, that the public, and then literally doubles, like the left always do, doubles down on the policies that have already alienated you and made you mad. So other politicians would be more scared for their job, is what I'm getting at, and more incompetent and more willing to flip flop. So we need one of them to slow things down. That's my opinion. So if they can prize him out of there, I think it could be a good thing. It's really the Russian roulette of who exactly would get next. It's never a great situation, but potentially we need something to happen to slow this down, and potentially this could be a bit of a roadblock if they can get rid of him and then get someone that's really liked but not very good in charge, and that is Labour's policy. So let's see. Fingers crossed. Like I say, a slowdown is better than nothing at all, and it gives us time then to rebuild things like Restore and other parties, whatever, and to put up an actual fight. Tom Fury, Zero News, calling it a day for now. Oh, by the way, sorry, just quickly, thank you for having my back. I really do appreciate it, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. But I don't want to, but I just want to say thank you. And I'll call it a day for now. All right.